Well, welcome everybody. I'm Craig Resnick with ARC, and we're very fortunate this morning in the ITOT Convergence session to have four great speakers. So we're going to start early just so we can make sure that the speakers have plenty of time to give you the great presentations. And I'm going to go through mine relatively quickly so we can get to the speakers' presentations. So, I think you've probably seen from a lot of the sessions we've already had at the forum, including the keynote, what are all of the drivers of ITOT convergence, and especially because we're starting to see a lot of common denominators between what are the actual needs of OT as well as the needs of IT. And even though in the past, where sometimes those groups did not work too well together, and in certain plants, it's still an evolution process for that to happen. But I think they realize they may have more in common than things that actually separate them. And the other thing we do at ARC is we really like to do these what we know as maturity models, and we try to see if people can take a survey to see where your plant or factory is, as you're moving ahead with your ITOT convergence journey. And we'll show you that survey as we go along. But obviously this is not a new topic, but I can tell you at ARC, we between the session yesterday at 10:30 and this session, we get more applications for speakers for ITOT convergence than any other topic at ARC. So obviously, this is an area of where there's not only great success stories, but people are actually want to really share them in the public. But it's you really can't have digital transformation unless you do have ITOT convergence. So, obviously the demand comes from just the ability because you want to leverage as much of the technologies today, such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, prescriptive, predictive analytics. And the only way you can really do that is to have a foundation where ITOT are truly converged, working together. But the challenge we all have in the plants is there's not a clean sheet of paper. We have legacy equipment on the factory floor. That equipment is not going to all be ripped and replaced without any sort of a justification. So we have to find ways to incorporate some of the multiple generations of equipment from OT into the process as well. Sometimes when people say it's us versus them, meaning IT versus OT, we try to take an approach where it's really let's take the best of all sources. Because as you can see, IT brings in a lot of cybersecurity expertise. IT brings in quite a bit of people with roles such as data scientists, which are becoming a very, very popular, on the factory floor today as well, where you certainly did not have that job description at one time. At the same time, you bring in all the technical talent and the engineers from the OT side. And OT really, if there's one thing OT really teaches IT very well, it's the whole area of real time. And sometimes even in IT, they don't really know what true real time is until you start working with OT and the needs of the factory floor. But again, standards, cybersecurity, making sure that everything is KPI, all your initiatives are KPI driven to help the bottom line. Again, when IT and OT converge, they find they have much more in common than what actually they thought were differentiated them in the past. And this is something that we see pretty much across the board. So what does it do? We find that once these groups begin to merge, we see obviously decreases in process variability and more first run, first quality product. It's really especially effective in the area of asset management and asset health and being able to do prescriptive and predictive analytics to make sure that your assets are running and when they're about to fail, that it's caught ahead of time, and now an unscheduled downtime becomes a future scheduled downtime with the right assets and people scheduled to make the repairs rather than having a chaos driven unscheduled downtime. But again, as I said earlier, the challenge is how do you take artificial intelligence, machine learning, and analytics in a plants that also still have inkwell chart recorders? Because some of that stuff is not going to go away, and I think we all know as we walk the factory floor, we still sometimes see some PCs with running Windows XP for certain applications. That stuff, it will eventually go away, but we have to know that there's always going to be a certain amount of legacy equipment on the factory floor. So to truly, how do we go about digital transformation to make sure that we're getting the input from even as much legacy equipment as possible. So at ARC, we have these maturity models where we try to find out where people are on their ITOT convergence journey, from having started to thinking about it to planning to partial implementation to full implementation. And then what we do is we break it up by different categories. So if you went to this session description in your phone app and you look at the long session description and kind of scroll to the bottom, you'll see a link, and all that's going to happen when you press that link is you're going to get this survey, because obviously we try to break it down into the various areas of the plant, because maybe ITOT convergence, the progress may be different within, based on different areas of the plant. So if you have a chance, certainly take the survey. If you think some other people within your organizations would benefit from taking the survey, please take it as well. And then there's a link on the bottom of the survey that would give you an address so we could send the results of that survey to you, so you'll kind of know how everyone else is doing. But obviously the results you're seeing, all the data is homogenized, so it's not, no one's going to exactly know how any individual people answered the survey. But ultimately, what are the results? It's how do you maximize the value and the output of your assets. The other thing we find with digital transformation and ITOT convergence is it enables you to leverage some of the tools that millennials would like to use, such as augmented reality and virtual reality. And in this particular case, like in the areas of augmented reality, when the baby boomer has retired and all that knowledge has walked out of the plant, many times the millennial who is very, very comfortable using tablets and smartphones and devices and wearables, they need that step-by-step instruction to know what they're visualizing on the factory floor and to get additional values transcribed over those assets. So they actually can, it's almost like having the control room walking the plant floor with them to actually do the level of visualization and the data, the HMI type of data that they need. So we think that this is really a way of progressing a lot of those technologies like augmented reality and virtual reality, which is many cases used for training and simulation, getting additional insights into the operation and how to make sure that by taking advantage of all these latest and emerging technologies, and again, with maximum benefits to both the top and the bottom line.